Hey, I'm Rutledge,
Hey, I'm Connor.
and we're Friend Stream Sports. We're real friends who talk about real sports in real time, and we're gonna do some more West Coast basketball this week. So we're gonna play the Portland Trailblazers versus the Denver Nuggets. Connor, I know you love your Nuggets.
You know, Rutledge, I'm really sad. I was all on board that Nuggets train until about 24 hours ago, probably like 22 hours ago now. Pour a little out if you're following along to Jamal Murray and his left ACL. Went down hard last night, and that was confirmed today, torn ACL. But I do love the Nugs. I love a lot of Nuggets. Um, I wish that I wish that the Nuggets had a chicken as their mascot because of chicken nuggets.
That's the gold in them there hills is the chicken nugget.
So, how are you doing today, Rutledge? Fresh off of Masters Week, how is the pimento cheese?
Oh, it's so good. The Masters pimento cheese that we got, and tonight I got into my Masters ordered barbecue sandwiches that I have. So I've just been tearing it up Masters food. I've been all types of happy. Um, Probably not as happy. Oh, look at Jokic go. Probably
Hey,
not as happy
if teams
as
defended the Nuggets like that, then they might still have a chance.
they might, but that's how Portland defends. Probably not as happy as Hideki Matsuyama for winning his first tournament. I hope I didn't say your name wrong. Did you see the picture of him just chilling in the airport with his jacket over the seat, just like anyone else would put their sport coat over a seat?
Hey, you got to figure out what to do with that jacket. I mean, it's kind of an odd trophy if you think about it.
It really is.
So that was a pretty fun tournament, though. First Japanese man to win the Masters. Although he was the first 10 years ago, he was the low amateur score at the Masters, but the low amateur score does not mean that you win it.
No. So, but good on him, and I'm happy for him. He was
Yeah.
not my pick, but we made a lot of picks last week. Neither of us got our picks on the Jazz right because we both said they were going to go 3-1. They definitely in turn went 2-2 last week.
Yeah,
But
the just when you think you should stay all chalk, the Jazz go ahead and lose one that they shouldn't.
they did. They did for sure. All right, come on,
And
Damian.
then a little Champions League action.
Little Champions
Uh,
League.
Bayern Munich bowed out just here a little bit ago to PSG.
Oh, they're done?
Yeah, one of the fun things, and as you know, Rutledge, and as probably many of our fans know, I am an early to bed, early to rise kind of guy. So living on the East Coast has always been kind of a burden for me being a sports fan. And the fun part is when soccer games are going on in Europe, those are afternoon affairs. So we have a we had Champions League today and had the second leg of Bayern Munich PSG. Bayern Munich won the game 1-0, but aggregate was 3-3. And because PSG had more away goals, PSG won that round and are advancing into the semifinals.
How did Chelsea do today?
Chelsea, they won. Chelsea's moving on.
So we both got that pick right from last week.
Yeah, Chelsea is moving on, and they've been playing really well. They have Thomas Tuchel there as their head coach. Chelsea's had just a real bevy of attacking talent over these past couple years, and apparently Christian Pulisic played really well today. So always good to see Captain America, if you will, coming out strong.
There you go. Well, those are sort of all of our picks that we made last week. Connor, I know you got our poll winner right for NASCAR for Martinsville. You said Joey Logano, and Joey Logano did have the poll. Martin Truex Jr. won. We still have our
For
fantasy
once, I
NAS.
got a NASCAR thing right.
I'm pretty proud of you. Look at this rebound action. No one
Man,
can get
cleaning
man
the glass. The
cleaning
glass man.
the glass.
But you shouldn't leave Michael Porter Jr. open for three.
No, he just absolutely drained it.
But
Um,
well, speaking of looking fresh when you're cleaning things off of the glass, Rutledge. Have you seen some of these new baseball uniforms, the Nikeification, if you will, of MLB?
Is that a word? Is
It
that a
is.
new thing?
It is now.
I bet it's plastered somewhere in Oregon. Like that's the recruiting tape. Is you're gonna get Nikeified.
Get Nikeified. I would. You know me, man. I love Nike, so I would. I would
There we
be all
go.
about getting Nikeified.
Yeah, so for those people that don't know, Nike is now the uniform producer for the Major League Baseball, and they started and they debuted a Boston Red Sox uniform that has no red on it. So they got an inspiration from the they got a big inspiration from the Boston Marathon. They have a blue and yellow uniform, and they have 7 teams that they're going to start to do. So their 7 teams that they're planning on doing are the Red Sox. In May, they're going to cover the Marlins. They're going to do the White Sox in June, as well as the Cubs and the Diamondbacks. Um, then the San Francisco Giants, which I'm excited about seeing the San Francisco Giants get something better. Not that their uniforms are bad. I think they have one of my favorite classic looks, but I just want to see what different can we do for the Giants and the Dodgers in August. Every team will have something different in baseball by 2023. So Connor, any of those stand out for you? Who are you excited? I'm
You know,
gonna go ahead.
I was going. I think that the Boston one is fun because it gives a nod to Patriots Day. I tried to find some of these uniforms. They haven't released all of them just yet.
No, not yet.
Uh, so they have released the Diamondbacks, which I was a little disappointed in because in essence, have you seen the Diamondbacks jersey?
No, what's it look like?
It looks like the court of the Phoenix Suns with that kind of black and some of those brighter colors. Then it says the Valley.
Okay.
So I was kind of like Nike. Nike kind of mailed it in there, but I'm very excited for the Chicago White Sox because they've always kind of done. They've always been into doing sort of shticky things like that. So, did you ever hear of Disco Demolition Night?
I have, but our viewers need to know.
Oh, Disco Demolition Night might be one of my favorite examples of baseball just needing to put butts in seats from time to time. The White Sox were playing a doubleheader. It was actually when Harry Carey was not always the Cubs guy. He used to be the White Sox guy. And the second game, they were literally going to kill Disco. The White Sox were going to try to kill Disco. So it was like the seventh inning stretch. It was a pretty rowdy crowd. It was a bunch of rock and roll folks because, they were trying to kill Disco. And then during that seventh inning stretch, they had a crate of disco records that they were going to explode. And when at the explosion of those disco records, all the rock and roll fans came in and ran onto the field and just caused all kind of ruckus, and they had to forfeit the game.
Wow, that is pretty intense. That is definitely that night you would have been trying to stay alive. You would have been staying
That
alive.
that's for yes, I love it. But any other fun baseball stories that you're trying to keep tabs of?
Of course, was O'Hanti's day. His extremely powerful, his pitch, and then also the very big home run. Connor, I know you were blown away by it. Give me some stats on it. I've really got to dig out of this loss that I'm at, this lead that you've built up.
I mean, potentially a loss. Our fourth quarter could go pretty quick tonight. So Otani for the Angels was the first player since 1903 to start at pitcher and hit number two. For those who might not know, the higher up in the baseball lineup you are, you're up kind of 1 through 4. You're pretty dang good. Otani actually is. I looked this up. Currently fourth on the Angels in RBIs because he plays DH and has 3 home runs. So that's pretty dang good to, also be able to be an effective starter and have 11 RBIs and 3 home runs so far into the season.
That is pretty good. Big on Otani. I'm sorry I said your name wrong.
The other player I'm following is Yerman Mercedes for the White Sox. 12 hits through his first 4 games was the most of any player through the first four big league games ever. Uh, and he is leading the White Sox in batting average, hits, and on base percentage as a rookie catcher. That's impressive, maybe for those who might not be baseball fans. Catchers don't usually lead in many hitting statistics. So the fact that he's able to do that damage behind the plate and in front of the plate, or to the side of the plate, if you will, is pretty powerful for our man Yerman Mercedes.
White Sox are supposed to be pretty good this year. They're supposed to do very well. On our friend show Dude Thoughts, I did some picks, and I picked White Sox to have at least 100 wins this year.
Currently the White Sox are sitting third in the AL Central, but it's always a long season, so hopefully they can turn it around
They
because they're a fun team.
they are. Speaking of not having a long season left, time is ticking on the NBA season. We are really getting through, and we are really starting to see the end of the tunnel. May 18th, of course, is the end of the regular season, logs in the playoff. So Connor and I are putting into afterburners, and we're going to conquer three NBA teams tonight, starting with Connor's favorite team, the Denver Nuggets.
They're pretty much my favorite right now because they're doing quite well. Yeah, as we mentioned at the top of the show, a big loss that they're gonna have to really work through. Um, Currently, the Nuggets are sitting number 4 in the West, right in front of the Lakers. If everything were to have held, their first round matchup would have been against the defending NBA champion Lakers. And I think that had Jamal Murray not torn his ACL, that would have been a real problem for the Lakers if that's how things would have held. Um, but they still have some players. Michael Porter Jr. still has the opportunity to make a big time impact, and they have our man the Jokic, they have our man the Joker, but I'm kind of seeing some real issues here with the Denver Nuggets as this season progresses. What do you think, Rutledge?
I think so too. They've gone from definitely being the Denver Nuggets to now the Chicken Nuggets. And just so that everyone knows out there, for Murray's ACL injury in the basketball world, it's a lot longer recovery road. He probably won't be back until next year after the All-Star break. So I know in football we see them go down, they get an off season, they come back. This is going to be a while for them to be without one of their bigger contributors. Now, of course, that being said, Murray made Jokic better because Jokic is having an MVP year. He's he's putting up 26 points a game. He's putting up 10 rebounds. He's leading the team from the field. He's leading the team in assists. So it's going to be, how does Michael Porter Jr. respond? How do they handle in the conference? Their schedule is not simple. Um, so we later will unveil where we see everyone finishing the year, but this is a
And
big.
let us,
Go ahead.
yeah, and let us not forget that you know part of what the Nuggets had to do, and I mean they really had to do this, was when they traded for Aaron Gordon, that wasn't just for fun, right? They really felt like Joker was having a big time year, and Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray was doing a lot of really good things, and they needed to pull the trigger on a big good slashing kind of 3/4, somebody to play some wing defense on LeBron, which is why I think that would have been a lot of a big time issue for the Lakers. But then you lost such an important part because when you traded for Aaron Gordon, you lost depth, right? So
Hmm.
you were kind of sitting on a razor thin margin. You were just sort of assuming no one else was going to get hurt, which obviously everyone gets hurt, but you always got to risk it for the biscuit, right? Like Super Bowl champion coach Bruce Arians always says. And you know, they risked it for the biscuit, but I think that they're getting to not so much the biscuit love right now.
No, and their schedule's not doing them any favors. Tomorrow night they have Miami, so the injury to Murray is huge. They have to respond emotionally quickly. They play Friday on Houston, but later this season they have Portland twice, they have the Lakers and the Clippers again, and they still have the Jazz on the schedule. So even though they're sitting at fourth, they can't coast into the playoffs. Um, they have to kind of really still kind of earn it because If not, they're going to get stuck in that play-in tournament. And I'm with you, Connor. I don't think they have the depth to play their way out of number, let's say if they're a 7 or 8 seed. I don't think they have the depth to play their way out of that 7 seed and then really start to make a run, especially when they'll play some of these rested teams that skip that first play-in round.
Yep, no, for sure. And the other thing to notice here with the Nuggets as I was prepping for the show and learning a little bit more about our man the Joker. One of the things that he's been having, especially over the last little week, right? He's really struggled actually with the reps. He's struggled with getting calls that he thinks that he should be getting, and or not getting calls that he thinks that he should be getting. And one of the podcasts I was listening to for prep, they made a really good point. This guy, he was talking about how he had Jameer Nelson on the show, former Magic player, former Nugget, and Jameer Nelson said, everyone thinks about the physical struggles throughout the course of a season, but you can't forget about the mental and emotional baggage and toll that a season takes. You could play 3 games in a row and you're in a tight playoff race and you miss a couple calls, you get frustrated, you lose a couple games, all of a sudden you're down a seat in the playoffs. So I think the one thing to really be keyed in on is Jokic, how he responds to some of these issues that he's trying to work through right now.
Yeah, and they can't wait to respond. So it's got to be an automatic. They have to make sure it works out because if not, they're in big trouble. It's too
I
late in the
did hear
game.
I did hear an interesting take that as it relates to the point guard position, because right now they've got Monte Morris and Facundo Campazzo. I totally, but sorry, Facundo, but combined at the point guard position now, the Nuggets have averaged 15 points and 6 assists a game. I don't know about you, that does not exactly inspire confidence. But
No.
the kind of the one of the hotter takes that I heard and read about while prepping for the show was, being able to potentially have a 5-second violation, putting you to sleep with my hot take.
Oh,
Uh, but getting Austin Rivers actually off of waivers,
yeah, I
so
had.
being able to have an experienced point guard there in the lineup.
They're definitely going to have to go out there and get someone off of waivers because they've put themselves in too much of a critical position to get it done with who they have. So they're going to have to go out there, and luckily the NBA allows you to do these types of things when these major injuries happen.
Do you
But
think that we could see any point forward play for Michael Porter Jr.?
maybe, but even as it is with tonight, I see him as more the laid back guy to drain the shots, and he hasn't been. He's been a performer for them, but his role, I think, where everyone's going to look to Jokic to turn this around. The big Denver fans going to look to Jokic. It's Michael Porter Jr.'s game right now. This is where he kind of steps up into the world, and this is where he makes an impact. Because if he
That's
doesn't, they don't have enough depth. Aaron Gordon, as we both know, as being Orlando people, he's good, but he's not a carrier franchise good.
Oh, so close, which
So
draws us into
close.
halftime.
What a first half.
A lot of points scored, which
That
is pretty good.
that
I
uh
like
that
points.
that 38 to 27. Connor leads me. I am Portland Trailblazers. Connor is the Denver Nuggets. You're shooting 59% from the field, and I feel it. Oh, I feel it.
Hot, which leads us into another great thing.
Halftime hot take. So this week our halftime hot take, and we're gonna kind of give a little maybe spoiler alert to our takes for later in the day in the show. But our halftime hot takes is all about that 6 seed lay-in. So since we're talking about the Western Conference, we're gonna do what are your top 6 seeds for the Western Conference playoffs in the NBA. So I will share mine first. I have, and we're gonna go. I think I'm gonna go 6 through 1. So number 6, I have the Portland Trailblazers. Number 5, I have the Denver Nuggets. Number 4, I have the very healthy Los Angeles Lakers. Number 3, I have the Los Angeles Clippers. Number 2, the Utah Jazz. And number 1, I am taking NBA.com Power Rankings number 1 team and someone that I have been very impressed with, the Phoenix Suns.
Wow, Chris Paul, aka the Gordon Ramsay of basketball.
He
That's
he fixes disasters.
that he does. That he does. You know, Rutledge, pretty similar here. Although I think your Blazers pick is wrong, but we're going to chat about that here later. I'm going Nuggets number 6. They fall, but not all the way out of the non-play-in. I'm going. Here's my big hot take: Mavericks number 5. I see Dallas as a team that's going to really continue to turn it on. Lakers 4, Clippers 3, and then I think that the Suns are going to stay at 2 because the Jazz are going to hold them off. So that's how I think the Western Conference is going to shake out.
So at least we have Clippers at 3 in common.
Clippers Lakers. That's kind of and then Jazz and Suns as the first first two teams.
That's some pretty hot takes. We'll see where we finish up. You really like the Mavs for this. Let's see if I don't get another 5-second violation.
I'm telling you, I was hypnotizing you there with my takes.
I know, you really were. You got me last week just talking about the Masters. I gave the game away this week. All right, let's get the putback. Come on, boys. There we go. Okay, so now it's time for our second team. We're going to do the Los Angeles Clippers. They're 37 and 18. They're third in the West. Here's a little bit of their schedule for context. Is they beat the Pistons on Sunday. They're playing the Pacers right now. They have the Pistons again on Wednesday, and they're at the 76ers. They're on the road. Their big leaders, of course, are Kyrie. No, excuse me, not Kyrie. Kawhi Leonard is 26 points, leading them, and Paul George is second place. Uh, Ivac Zubac is a good rebounder for them and does some good work. But Paul George contributes on the assist side more than the scoring side. So, Connor, how are you feeling about the Clippers?
You know, I think that the Clippers have a really high ceiling, and I fool me once, shame on me. Could I get fooled twice? Yeah, maybe, just for rhyming purposes. But no, I think that the Clippers have a lot of good things to offer. Um, Kawhi George. What's interesting about the Clippers is that it's sort of a different makeup than a lot of the other big Western Conference teams, right? Um, you look at the Jazz with Rudy Gobert and why am I forgetting the name of that guard who plays for the Jazz? Um, but you've got the Jazz, and then you've got what should have been the Nuggets with Jokic and Murray, right? And then the Lakers with big man guard. You got a lot of big man guard, big man guard, big man guard. And what the Clippers are trying to do is say, no, we're gonna do it on the wing. We're gonna have guys that are big, can be some matchup problems, and be able to do that on the wing. I think that one of the issues is still health. My understanding is that Kawhi is not playing tonight. It's the second half of a back-to-back, and that's just kind of not something that he's been doing really all season, playing in the second half of those back-to-backs. I think Patrick Beverly is out in terms of playing defense. He is he's kind of their tone setter, if you will. And I think that you're going to lose some team cohesion and some team chemistry there. Now, the interesting thing, Rutledge, is Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins, and Rajon Rondo were both signed to 10-day contracts. It's not looking like. Oh man,
Oh,
Jokic is
just
okay. It's only a second. I thought that was his third.
getting aggressive.
That he is. So, I think in terms of players, in my opinion, the big question is going to be Serge Ibaka, right? Because you're going to have somebody to in a deep playoff run to cover a Rudy Gobert and to cover an Anthony Davis. You don't have that skilled a player, so you need a couple bodies to throw at him. So when Zubats is at the bench, what are you going to do? I think Serge Ibaka is actually going to be a real key contributor to the Clippers, assuming he gets healthy.
Yeah, I think we all forgot because the Clippers I feel like last year the expectation with the Clippers and Kawhi coming over was, you know, finals if not ring or bust. And because they had that big fall apart in the playoffs in the bubble, we all, at least myself, I know you wrote them off like, well, they're still okay, but they're nothing special. However, they've shown that they're doing it different. And they're not doing what Houston tried to do last year, which is try to make it work with some small ball or try not to do the big man thing. They're actually doing it. But for some
No,
reason, I still have a question mark about them. They're in third place and they've been kind of the silent, in my opinion, the silent killer of being a good Western team. Of course, the storylines have been injuries in the West, the Jazz and their domination. We always pay attention to the Lakers, especially with them repeating as champions. Go Dame, go.
oh,
Um,
Dame time issues.
Dame,
The other thing, you know, what's the interesting thing about, and you got a real big comeback here.
we are
The interesting
trying.
thing about what we're seeing with the Clippers is, um, you've always, Paul George even talked about mentally during the bubble having some real issues. Um, and it's kind of been who's Batman, who's Robin, right? I think that was an issue. One of many issues that the Clippers had last year in the bubble. So I think you have that issue to work through. Uh, Paul George has averaged 30 points a game over the past week. He is the reigning Western Conference Player of the Week. So for whatever you take from there, and I think chemistry is going to be big. I really love the move of the Clippers trading Lou Williams. I think that was a big time getting him out of that locker room. I think is a big time positive. And hopefully, I kind of hope they keep Rondo around, just for the sake of us hearing many many takes about playoff Rondo.
Yeah, playoff Rondo has always been. I mean, playoff Rondo contributed for the Lakers. Remember when playoff Rondo was in Boston? It's a down the stretch thing for me with the Clippers. Where are they going? They have on their schedule, what is it like for late April to May? They play the Suns on the 28th. They play the Lakers on the 6th. Are they building forward momentum into the playoffs, and are they the hot team that everyone needs to watch out for? Or are they the team that once they get into the playoffs that we see them get knocked out and we go, okay, but Kawhi Leonard is still doing big things. We remember he brought Canada, and I thank him for this. He brought Canada its first professional sports championship outside of hockey for the first time ever. Because the Vancouver Whitecaps just can't get it done up there. But it's I don't know, Connor. They're a third place seed team, and I don't see them getting any farther than maybe the conference semis. How far do
Wow.
you
So
have them going?
I could definitely see the Clippers making it to the conference finals. I don't know if they've got the juice to get it all the way, to the finals. I'm just throwing the ball away now. I have.
Oh, look at that hang time. He
Did you hear
ripped that.
did you hear the stadium announcer just yell Simons?
I did. That was great.
I don't get that.
Man, he ripped that all over your city.
That he did. But we got a little Michael Porter Jr. 3 that is not going to go down.
I feel like that Simons
Uh,
was a game glitch because why would it do that for an away player?
I mean, there's a jeweler I know in Orlando called Simon's Jeweler.
Well, I mean, his name is Simons.
Okay, no doubt, no doubt. But no, I
Real
think I
friends,
think the
real time.
Clippers. I think that the Clippers aren't as good as the Jazz, and you have just taken the lead on me.
There we go.
I think that the Clippers are not as good as the Jazz. I think that the
Agree.
Clippers are better than the Nuggets now as it stands. I
Agree.
think that the Clippers are better than the Lakers.
Split. And I'll keep going, but I'll argue my Lakers point as we continue this third quarter.
I think the Clippers are definitely better than the Blazers.
I say the Clippers. I agree with you on that. The Clippers are a more complete team, and um, especially with Portland in my defense that I will talk about with Portland, they are definitely a more complete team. The Lakers, it's gonna be do LeBron and AD come back like two dudes that are just I don't know, like the valedictorian and salutatorian on the same group project, and it's due tomorrow, and but they're geniuses, and they're just nailing out, and they get 100 on this high school project. That's how I feel about with the Lakers getting healthy, especially in this part of the season. Um, so I don't know. The Clippers will go higher seeded into the playoffs than the Lakers because we only have but so much time left. But I don't see the Clippers and the Lakers. I don't see them being the same competitive level in the playoffs. So what would you give that Clippers Lakers series then?
In terms of like how far it would go,
Yeah, like who wins it
I
and how
think
many?
I think it'd be a real barn burner of a series. Now, I think that uh, yeah, I think that that would definitely be a 7 game kind of knockdown drag out kind of series. But I think the Clippers would win a long, hard fought series.
Okay, so you take Clippers in 7 over the Lakers.
Yep.
I take Lakers in 7, but I agree with you it'd be a 7-game series.
And you have come all the way back here in this third
Wow.
quarter.
I was down by 12 points. He almost went on a 10-point run at the start of the game, and now I've come back 53 to 49. Friend Stream Sports, Tuesday, 8 o'clock, live on Twitch. We have some viewers out there. Connor and I say hi. Drop a notification in the chat. Follow us on YouTube. As we're playing, we are deep into our basketball takes and still our first year of Friend Stream Sports. How fast the time goes, Connor.
I was thinking about it. We're getting very close to our first ever meeting at Gators Dockside.
That
Shout
is
out to Gators, be our sponsor.
Shout out to Gators. Let us have live night where turnover to Michael Porter Jr. Let us
Turnover
have
chain,
live night
Miami
where
Hurricane
we
turnover chain.
turnover chain where we play video games live in a bar and just do the show, and then there's some parent there that doesn't understand why two guys are playing PlayStation over the loudspeakers. I think it'd be
Yeah,
great.
heck yeah. But I think all of our fan would definitely be there and would just have a blast.
My wife would be there, but I'd have to buy her stuff.
Or we write that into the contract. That's how we get a producer. Is everybody who's associated with the show gets stuff.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say feed Rutledge's wife. That's the contract.
Well, I mean, kind of. Yet again, just Anna Marie's our producer.
No, I still you keep pushing that every other week. She's not. She came on and talk about snacks, and that's all the take she's got.
I mean, I'd like to hear Anna Marie's chicken nugget power ranking.
Okay, that's a solid Anna Marie segment. Is what was your chicken nugget powers? Like who has the best nugs? Who has the best sauces? Who's overrated? Who's underrated?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, like she would do that. All right, enough messing
Speaking
around.
of speaking of overrated,
Speaking of
we
Damian
have
just draining the lane,
we've got another team to talk about.
Trailblazers time, 31 and 22 on the year. Pretty much split same home and road record. They are sixth in the West, and they are 2 games above the Mavs. Here's their schedule coming up. They played the Heat on Sunday, which I'm going to talk about, and they lost. They have Boston tonight. They play the Spurs, and then they play Charlotte on Sunday, and they better watch because Miles Bridges is coming down on you. He's gonna reach all the way back to 1955 and just drain it.
Ooh, there we go.
Ooh,
Oh man, I have gone cold. That's been my issues. I've just gone cold here in the second half, Rutledge.
it's because the Clippers are cold and you froze with them as you tried to defend them.
That's true. That's true. So Damian Lillard has been struggling lately. What do you make of that, Rutledge?
So last Thursday, Damian Lillard actually came out and he had a post in the post press conference, post game. He basically came out and he's like, "Hi, I'm Mr. Positive. I'm happy, but uh, when we play against, and I'm gonna kind of read this as I play a video game. Basically, he said when we play against top level, oh, good timeout. When we play against top level teams, we don't play well. We get put away. At Phoenix, we got put away. Tonight, we got put away. At Denver, we got put away. Milwaukee at home, put away. Clippers got put away. I mean, it's not like it's a small sample size. It's what happens, And he basically called the team out, says they need to have some heart, some pride, and I'll look in the mirror, himself included. So
Ooh.
while he's been struggling, the whole team is the whole team has kind of really been having a struggle. And it comes from some people not contributing, but I really think it's a defensive problem. Uh, I think they are having a huge defense issue, and I watched the Miami game, or at least the highlights on YouTube of it again. And offensively, they're all over the place. They had Norman Powell. They had Norman Powell. He's doing great. He's a great piece they got in the trade deadline. But Miami just went to town with them some places and scored some wide open things and made all the kind of the plays that we saw the Heat do that made everyone be like, "Oh, that's Miami." When we were looking at the playoffs last year, who was going to come out of the West, they just did it all over them on Sunday. So defensively, they have a lot of holes in them, kind of like the way I started this game, and they're not they're not strong enough, and it takes a lot of work. But since he kind of called them out, hopefully they can have a turnaround. I also think it's a little bit of coaching and not getting the right players in the right places. And Carmelo's been under contributing. I know that's a lot of takes all at once, Connor, so take one and run with it. But
Yeah. I mean, how would you fix Melo? I mean, he just missed a pretty wide open important shot for you.
I mean, it's kind of what he's been doing the whole day. And look at him block. Did you see watch him block Michael Porter Jr. or lack thereof blocking Michael Porter Jr.?
He Carmelo doesn't even want to play defense in a video game,
No.
and you're controlling him.
Oh, there you go.
But but he does do that. um, so how would you? Yeah, I mean, I guess as we're moving forward, as we get into this part of the season, right? You know, Damian, you just talked about Damian Lillard calling out some players, things like that. How would you kind of fix that, whether or not it's through rotation or mentality?
You gotta kind of put the right guys in the right places. So and the sad thing is it's kind of Carmelo Anthony, and he's had a legacy for doing this. Is um, Carmelo is kind of whenever you read different sports articles by different groups, whether The Athletic or CBS or somebody, they all say the same thing. They all mention a problem, and Carmelo Anthony is in the next sentence. So I think it's going to be a lot of Damian Lillard is a very positive person. He drives a lot. He has a lot of inspiration behind himself, but he's going to have to help out. Luckily, he's got Norman Powell to kind of carry the slack. I think I like Dame. I like Dame time, game time a lot. Um, but I don't think he has the team around him to help him do what he wants to do right now. I think we're kind of going to see um, not his talent get wasted, but kind of like when you saw him on the cover of 2K21, you're like, oh, cool, that guy. But there's no one else around him to make him to where it's like when he's really good. Kind of like when LeBron was on really bad Cleveland teams, he was having to will the team forward. But Damian Lillard is not as good as young LeBron James, therefore he can't just put the team on his back and beat everybody.
Ooh, tough miss there by the Joker. He is not having an MVP kind of second half. So also as it relates to Portland, I mean, I think one of the things that we saw and kind of fell in love with was Dame in the playoffs last year, and him nearly willing the Portland Trailblazers to that first round win over the Lakers. And everyone thought about that, and they kind of just fell in love with what was going on there. But that was an 8-seeded team that had to get really hot in the bubble at the right time and had a lot of problems. So I could see there being some serious. I could see there being some maybe additions and subtractions, if you will, whether or not that's the coach, whether or not that's moving off of Melo, whether or not that's moving off of CJ McCullough, or whether or not that's even Damian Lillard saying, you know what, I'm kind of done with this. I could see a variety of things going on here as we get into the final minute of the game here tonight.
I definitely kind of feel like eventually if they don't clean it up if they don't clean it up in Portland and they don't get the right pieces, Damian, and I'm not gonna not like Giannis, but he's going to eventually say, you know what, I'm out, and he'll do something like maybe go. I see him signing with like a big three, or he'll just do what everyone else did this year and go sign with the Nets. By the way, pause and shout out to the 317 Dan, who says that they're new to playing 2K21 but wants to play with us. So, you know what? Drop us some messages in the comments. Let us know whenever you want to play some Friend Stream Sports. Maybe we try something new. But I say that, so back into the point I was making. Um, Definitely I'm with you. Damian Lillard right now, I see he's in a mega contract that he signed for 4 years, which we're in the fat middle of. So he's got a lot of cap space and he's worth a lot of money. However, if he doesn't make it work in Portland, I can see him kind of leaving. It's a small market town. You're in the Pacific Northwest. It's kind of cold and rainy. Does he jump off? Does he go to New York like it's advertised anytime a big name comes free agent? Does he go to Brooklyn? Does he go to Los Angeles? Does he go to Phoenix with their have success? Does he go to Atlanta with the culture that they have building down there?
Hawks culture, like
Haw-
Heat culture.
Hawks culture like Heat culture. Does he go to Miami, right? Or does he just get paired up with LeBron for one last LeBron run?
That would
So,
be that would
um,
be wild if
Jokic on the goaltending? You've got to be kidding me. That's a
uh
laugh. Ha ha. I've been waiting
the
all night to
Joker.
use a bunch of Joker puns. So, what do you see? Do you see Damian bringing a ring to the Pacific Northwest, or do you see Dame taking his talents to elsewhere? Maybe South Beach.
Take it. I see Dame. I don't think they've got it right now. Obviously, to um, I don't think they've got it right now to win a title, and I think that they've got a ton of work to do. They got to bring in some players. I could definitely see Dame, maybe finishing out his contract with Portland,
Ooh, that
hitting this
three
three right there.
hurt.
Uh,
That three hurt.
yes, and we're gonna extend this game here a little bit. We're gonna have to dig down deep into our Trailblazers talks. But no, I see I see Dame definitely being I see him on the move. I don't see him finishing his career in Portland. I think he's well loved. Uh, but I don't see that being a place that really attracts a lot of free agents. Just quite frankly, I don't see the Pacific, Portland in particular, Rutledge. I know how you feel about Portland, but I don't see that being a good place to attract a lot of big time players into the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it's definitely out of all the big areas up there, you've got sadly this is the only basketball town, right? It's not a Seattle, it's not a Vancouver, which those two don't have franchises anymore. But it's I don't know, it's a small market team. It's kind of like an Orlando, if you will. Yeah, it's got some big stuff. I know that a relative of mine just got a job with Intel out there, but it's not big enough as a town to say this is a destination place I need to go. So we'll see what he does. Oh, okay. Take me to
Going
the
to the
line.
foul line.
Take it to the
Have you
foul line.
have you spent much time traveling in Portland, Rutledge?
I've been to
Being from
Portland like twice, but my favorite Portland fact is, did you know that the characters from The Simpsons get their names from streets in Portland?
no way.
Yeah, so when they made the show The Simpsons, they used just a bunch of different names from the streets of Portland, so that when you drive around Portland, you just see different names. And I can't believe you sent Damian Lillard to the foul line.
Hey, if I didn't send Dame to the foul line, the game would have been over. You got to do something.
Well, he gets both. And a timeout by the Nuggets. Last timeout, 71 to 68, 15.2 seconds to go in real time, but basketball time it goes. Okay. So Connor, so you have the Trailblazers going out. Here's how I think they kind of go in. Now their schedule is going to be hard. It's not going to be very easy. Um, for them to kind of make it, and they've got to clean some stuff up defensively. But I have, if, you know, I think the Nuggets are going to collapse, which we can both agree on. Dallas is probably going to have to lose some, and the Lakers are not going to be the dominating force to. I believe the Trailblazers will make the playoffs as a 6 seed to where they won't have to do the play-in tournament. They will, however, being that bottom of the seed, play one of the red hot play-in tournament teams. And if they get like a, let's say they get Dallas after their win in their playoff game, how do you feel that series will go?
Say that one more time.
So Portland's going to be a 6 seed team, in my opinion, which means they
Yes.
don't have to do the play-in tournament.
Okay.
Dallas is right below them. I believe Dallas will win their way and be who Portland plays. So, how do you see that series going?
Uh, the Dallas versus Portland.
Yeah, Dallas versus Portland. Portland's won. Let's say they took their series in 7 games. They're playing. Dallas has played 7 games. They're playing a rested Portland.
Uh, I see Dallas winning it. I think yeah, Dame is awesome, but the offensive firepower of Luka and Kristaps is and JJ Redick. I love that move that they brought in JJ Redick.
Yeah, I agree in that. I think it's going to be that whatever spot Portland gets into the playoffs, I think they'll bow out after that round. I don't see them not making the playoffs altogether because they're too high up. I still think they'll get the 6 seed, but whoever they play, I think will take them because of their defensive issues.
No doubt, and you came all the way back.
That was a huge comeback. That was big. I want to look at the score.
Little box score action.
A little box score act as we get ready. Total game. No. I don't want to look at box score. I want to look at score summary. Little score summary action. This isn't what I wanted either. I don't know what I want to look at. But either way. What a game, Connor. What a game. So that's where we're at. So now we're gonna go into our picks, our end of the quarter picks, and we have how everyone's gonna see. We've kind of previewed everyone's schedule, so I'm gonna go with here's how I think everyone's gonna do this week. Everyone plays 4 games. I have the Nuggets going 1-3. I have the Clippers going 3-1, and I'm gonna say that Portland is gonna go 2-2.
So you went 1-3, 3-1, 2-2.
Yeah, Portland lost to Miami, but I think between playing the Spurs and Boston and Charlotte, they will at least get 2 wins.
Got it, got it. Let's see. Here's what I'm seeing here this week. I think the Nuggets aren't gonna win here for a while. So over for the Nuggets. If the Nuggets win, I lose. In terms of the Clippers, I think that the Clippers are going to lose tonight to the Pacers, but then win the next. Actually, they're going to lose tonight to the Pacers, beat the Pistons, and beat the 76ers. So finish up 2-2 rather. And then for the Trailblazers, I see them lost the Heat. They're going to lose to Boston, beat the Spurs, beat Charlotte. So go 2-2.
Okay. A live up score update. The Clippers and Pacers are playing right now. It is tied 67-65 at the half. That is one of the big TNT games that are happening tonight. Okay, so outside of that, we have one last. It's our NASCAR poll of the week. They're going to Richmond, which is another short track. I am going to actually piggyback off of your pick, Connor, and pick someone to go back to back. I'm going Joey Logano this week.
Ooh, there you go. There you go. Well, good old Richmond, Virginia here. I am going to pick. I'm going to pick. Go end of game hot take here. Let's see what happens. If I get this Rutledge, you have to buy me chicken nuggets. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for the poll.
Wow. That is a huge end of that's a huge I will buy you chicken nuggets. Where do you want your chicken nuggets from?
Bojangles.
but I'm not buying you those because they wouldn't make it back. By the time
All
I
right,
got there, I would have eaten all the chicken
Zaxby's.
nuggets they had.
Zaxby's tenders.
Some Zaxby's tenders. I will get you some Zaxby's tenders for that if Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets the pole for Richmond.
Sounds good, my man. Well, what a fun night.
What a fun night. Lots of basketball talk. So we have a lot of different teams. We see how the playoffs come. We're getting there. We're almost a month. We've got less than like 20 something days. It's wild. It's been a crazy basketball season so far, and I know the playoffs this year are going to be intense. I can't wait.
Oh yeah, no, it'll be a lot of fun to watch these games play out for sure.
Awesome. Well, for tonight, that's all we have for everyone. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for people watching us. Remember to follow us on YouTube. And for Friend Stream Sports, I'm Rutledge.
And I'm Connor.
And have a great night.
See ya.